Architecture Codex. If you want to see more, like, comment, share, and most importantly, subscribe.
Hello, Architecture Codex fans. This is another one of those stalling videos which permits me to continue with my architecture practice, which is how I pay the bills. And I'm happy to do that architecture work, but it means I'm ignoring the Architecture Codex YouTube channel for a while. And YouTube tends to punish those content providers who do not constantly provide content. And so what I'm hoping to do is to provide another video, have more people hit the subscribe button, like button, and share, because you're subscribing and you're getting your friends and family to subscribe helps build the channel while I temporarily take a leave of absence and actually do that architecture work, which is, again, how I pay the bills. And I have to say that I'm grateful for everyone who has done that in the past, and I look forward to producing more videos in the future. The goal is to have Architecture Codex have a wide appeal to both the novice person interested in architecture and just learning about it, as well as the experienced professional. And I'm trying to make sure it's a positive voice, even though at times I will get critical about pieces of architecture that I think are not as good as they could be. And so this video is designed to keep you entertained while I also satisfy the YouTube algorithm about producing content. One of the things I've done to expand my internet footprint is to create a Patreon channel. At patreon.com, you can go, and if you want to, you can watch the same videos for free, but you can also subscribe to the channel for as little as $2 a month. That's a very low floor designed to get you into it, and perhaps you'll like it even more and raise up your subscription level. This is what I'm doing until Disney decides to buy me out for millions and millions of dollars, since they eventually will buy everything. But in the meantime, for as little as $2 a month, you can get access to exclusive Patreon content. Now, this content is video that I've created from this 28-hour course I created for the Catholic University of America relating architecture and Western culture. And I take 10-minute clips from those 28 hours worth of videos that I made for the class and present them to you. So they're about architecture, perhaps in a broader topic expanse, but they're not necessarily about specific buildings, which is the format for Architecture Codex. So attached to the end of this video is a sample of such exclusive Patreon content, which you can get on my Patreon channel. And I know the moment I share it, it's no longer exclusive Patreon content, but there's plenty of other exclusive Patreon content to make sure that that subscription is worthwhile. And my goal is to add about 2 of these videos a month as we proceed on. And so I like to think of that exclusive Patreon content taken from my CUA class on architecture and Western culture as sort of Architecture Codex with a tie. Thanks again for your support, and I look forward to making more Architecture Codex videos as soon as possible. Peace to all. What helped corporate America adopt the international rationalist modernist style was the invention of the corporate architecture firm. And perhaps no better firm is worth examining in this regard than Skidmore, Owens, and Merrill, otherwise known as SOM, and derided by some architects as Three Blind Mice. They were formed in 1939, and they began to combine architecture and structural engineering, as well as other engineering disciplines, in order to give the corporate clients one-stop shopping in terms of building buildings. And so they didn't quite coalesce the discipline of master builder into a single person, but they did do it into the single corporate body of a large design firm. And these firms typically would have hundreds of architects and engineers on staff ready to do any building of any size. A lot of the work that Skidmore, Owings, and Merrill did is worthy of note, and we're going to just go through some of them. By 1970, we're seeing how the standard office tower is beginning to be a little more expressive and a little taller. The John Hancock building in Chicago, about 96 stories tall, was designed by Skidmore, Owings, and Merrill with the engineers Bruce Graham and Fazlur Rahman Khan, who pioneered the structural elements of the building. And one of the things you can see when you look at the building is that there's this exterior crisscrossing of steel beams, and that was there to put in the reinforcing. And that was an expressive nature of the tower, which still tapered up to the top, not unlike a good Egyptian obelisk, in order to create stability. In 1974, the Sears Tower became the tallest building in the world, and it was designed also by Skidmore, Owings, and Merrill using a structural system perfected by Fazlur Rahman Khan as well. This is a series of tubes, and if you notice, the Sears Tower looks like a number of rectangular shafts that are different heights, the tallest one being the tallest building in the world at the time, topping over the World Trade Center, which had recently been completed. And of course, both were much taller than the Empire State Building, which had had the title since the 1930s. So the individual tubes that express themselves up were all tied together. So each is structurally independent, and yet because they're tied together, they're even stronger and more stable, able to resist those wind forces and other forces that plague taller buildings. The base of the tower was not particularly well designed, at least in my opinion. When you were on the street, you simply went through a set of doors. You had no indication that you were in the tallest building in the world. Sears eventually folded. The building is currently known as the Willis Tower, but for most of us, it will always remain the Sears Tower. In 2014, One World Trade Center opened up. It was designed by Skidmore, Owings, and Merrill with David Childs as the lead architect. This building was important in a number of ways. It included structural innovations so that a building of this type could resist being impacted by a jetliner going at full speed, for obviously it replaced the old twin towers of the World Trade Center. And these innovations included a core that was reinforced concrete 3 feet thick. In that reinforced core, you had the escape stairs plus a staircase dedicated to firefighters who would have to climb up. All the sprinklers and all the other fire safety were in that core as well. And the fireproof protection for the structural steel was not just sprayed on. It was more mechanically fastened. They also combined bolts and welds to make the structure even more stable. And the bottom of the tower is concrete reinforced, set back from the street 65 feet. So any car or truck bomb that might be exploded, the energy of that bomb would be dissipated as it spreads to the building, because forces like that dissipate with the square of the distance. So the building was an innovation in terms of building high and building safe, but it was also emotionally important that that area known as Ground Zero, where the 9/11 attacks took place, would have a tall building once again, showing that New York City and America were not afraid to build what we want to build. American design ingenuity is one of our greatest exports, and Skidmore, Owings, and Merrill is just one of the many American firms that are building tall buildings throughout the world. And you will see them all vying for that position of the tallest building, at least if not in the world, in their continent or in their city. Because in one way, the skyscraper, the steel and glass edifice that reaches up to the sky, is the epitome of modern architecture.
Someday, my baby, when I am a man, and others have taught me the best that they can, they'll sell me a suit, they'll cut off my hair, send me to work in tall buildings. So it's goodbye to the sunshine, goodbye to the dew, goodbye to the flowers, and goodbye to you. I'm off to the subway, I must not be late, I'm going to work in tall buildings. When I'm retired, my life is my own. I've made all my payments, it's time to go home and wonder what happened betwixt and between when I went to work in tall buildings. So it's goodbye to the sunshine, goodbye to the dew, and goodbye to the flowers, and goodbye to you. I'm off to the subway, I must not be late, I'm going to work in tall buildings. So it's goodbye to the sunshine, goodbye to the dew, and goodbye to the flowers, and goodbye to you. I'm off to the subway, I must not be late, I'm going to work in tall buildings. So it's goodbye to the sunshine, goodbye to the dew, and goodbye to the flowers, and goodbye to you. I'm off to the subway, I must not be late, I'm going to work in tall buildings.